Hello, everyone. Happy to be here again on Saturday with you all to understand the migration concepts. And hopefully, you are enjoying your Saturday, depending on where you are. Weather could be complicated or very soothing. And we will quickly get started. And I'll add other guests also onto the screen. But as we start, let me ask you a question, just as an icebreaker question, so that everyone feels easy at ease. Any memorable public event that you attended, anywhere you went, which was worth mentioning? Let me know in the chat. I'll share mine experience also. But if you have anything which is worth mentioning, any public event, let us know. And hopefully, everyone would be inclined to go to those type of events. There is a little delay between when I speak and when I get the messages. So I'll just wait for that. So Deepak is saying AWS Summit. Where do I find labs? So they will answer those questions in a minute. Toronto Summit, that is a good one. So yeah, probably you have meet Marco there. That's good thing. And then we have Amazon SageMaker Roadshow. That's a good one too, Sandeep. I was not aware about it, but yeah, I look for it. And then everyone is going for that. Hello, Mike. Happy to have you here. Then we have community event Bangkok, Thailand. That's a good one, Abhishek. That's good to know. So I'll share mine also so that you know where I went and where I spent my time. So I went to a Coldplay concert this time in Hong Kong in April. Way out of my comfort zone, not at all a rock band enthusiast, but yeah, I went in, wanted to do a checklist activity, and then completed it. It's not the same Coldplay which is getting famous for lots of other stuff. It was in April, so don't relate me there. But yeah, hopefully everyone has enjoyed something and done something. If not, still the year is remaining. So please make sure you get the most out of the year and do something out of your comfort zone to feel little more inclined and more involved. All right, I'll introduce my team now. So we'll get started from there, and then let me add Prasad to stage. Then we
Hello.
have Marco. Hey, Marco. And Marco would be having the behavioral session also today. Then I have Nabil with me, who would help me with the technical session. Then I have here Raj, who is also be supporting on the chat. Then we have Abhi. Abhi will also be supporting us today into the behavioral track. Then we have Sharik, the accidental DevOps guy, who is obviously answering question on the chat. We have Kavya too. Kavya would be answering questions too. And hopefully I missed few people. So let me add Alicia also. So Alicia is our guest speaker, and we would be hearing from them in a while. So hopefully everyone had a good session, and keep your comments coming, and we would be happy to answer as many questions as we can. Let me quickly get started, and then we will discuss more interesting stuff. But any feedback, any suggestion to make your learning better, let us know, and we would be happy to continue with incorporating those suggestions. And now I want to talk a little bit on where we are. So we are on week 2. People who are joining us first time, we completed first week, which is migration pattern and migration pathways on AWS, and we had a fireside keynote, really interesting. So watch the video. All the videos are available for you to watch. And then today we will talk about migration tools and AWS MGN deep dive, and we will then focus on a career transition of a traditional IT person to cloud solution architect. That would be interesting talk, so don't miss it. So let's get started. And I'll introduce Prasad because we have the quiz platform, and there are a lot of good stuff happening there. People are earning badges, they are sharing it on the LinkedIn and social media. So let's hear from Prasad how somebody can get those badges, and if they are facing difficulty, what can be done.
Yes, everyone. I know there has been a lot of chatter on the Discord channel about getting access to the platform. It took us a couple of days to get access, and it's not an automated thing at this point. We will be doing that in the next batch. But for now, the platform that we are using, when people register on our platform, we send them the bulk file, and then they upload and onboard the users. And people who are onboarded, they get the email. Right, I'm sure most of you got the emails because you can see people who are registering and who are getting the badges, and they are tagging us also on the LinkedIn. In case you have not received, an onboarding email, do not worry. You would be receiving, depending upon when you have registered, you will be receiving. And anyways, we have created a channel on the Discord specific to address the issues. What I'll do is that I'll quickly share my screen, and then I'll
Yeah.
explain about how does it look like. Give me just one sec. Mm, I'll share the
Yeah,
entire
so
screen.
that Discord channel can be really useful to get help or share your own thoughts. But yeah,
Yes.
don't misuse it. or bombarding people, but yeah, use it in a productive way so that everyone can learn from that. So go ahead, Prasad.
Yeah, this is the dashboard. Once you will log in, you'll be able to onboard and you will be able to log in. You'll be able to get into this dashboard, which shows like this, and then you'll be able to access all the week lessons from this lessons tab. All right. So you would be able to get information from here. For example, the week one, once you click here on the week one, the video, you obviously you can watch the video on the YouTube, but in case if you prefer it on the platform, you can watch it from here directly, or you can directly go to the YouTube and watch it there. The slides that are there, you will be able to get the slides from here. We will be uploading the slides and the video within 24 hours mostly onto the platform. And then if you want to make any notes for yourself, you'll be able to make notes for yourself. That is your personal notes to aid your learning. And then the quiz platform is here, where you can go and start the quiz. Right. um, and from here, once you complete the quiz, you will be able to see the badge from here. You can also access the badge from the main dashboard later on, in case if you close it from here. And yeah, continue using this. I'll quickly show the badges link also. You'll be able to do that from the program dashboard. You will see that I have a little bit different view because I am the admin, but uh, if you leave away the admin part, you will be having the similar view. So if I go to the dashboard, in your dashboard, you will be able to see a badges link like this here, where every week when you'll be completing, you'll be able to see the badge like this. And for example, here, if you see the week one, whoever has completed, they would be able to have a badge like this, and it will be a permanent link. I know there was a request about if we can make this badge a open badge so that it can be added to the Credly. We are looking into it, how we can be done. Give us some time and we'll explore that. But anyways, you have this badge, and whenever we are able to make it open, you will be able to add to your Credly. But for now, yeah, enjoy the learning process. Take the quizzes every week. And get your badges. And once you'll be able to get all the 6 badges, you will be eligible for a certificate for the entire batch.
Makes sense. Makes sense. So that's good, Prasad. Yeah. So there are 6 badges for grab. Up for grab. We will be releasing them after the session. So week one is there, and we will keep them available for a little longer period. So don't worry if you are not able to complete within 1 week. We would still keep it available so that people who are watching it later or have some personal commitment couldn't join live, they still should be able to go ahead with that. But idea is you watch video and then attempt the quiz rather than just running your way around it, right? Because you are here for learning, not just for badges. Badges is an add-on. Learning is the main important thing. So please focus on that. Watch videos and then go for the quizzes. It would solidify the learning you have done. All right, good.
Exactly. There was a request from people that they would like to watch the prerequisites video, which is great, and that's why we have not kept any time limit this time, right? So we want everyone to be, coming to a level and then getting it. So even if it takes you a couple of weeks to watch the prerequisites videos and then attempt the quizzes, don't worry. There is no time limit. First of all, for this batch, and secondly, there is no number of retries, right? So you can try it, and idea is to get upskilled. So try and get upskilled the right way, as Ashish mentioned. Do not brute force of giving just the quiz to get a badge. Ensure that you go through the knowledge and then you go through some of the labs if possible. Do hands-on exercise so that you earn the badges the right way.
Makes sense. That's there. So thanks everyone, and questions and confusions, comments, keep them on Discord. We'd be happy to answer as we can. Some people had problem in accessing Discord DM, so there is an email address support@besaprogram.com. Send an email there. I try to look at it most often, like every day at least. So I should be able to answer question. And there are other volunteers also in Discord channel who are helping you out. So leverage us as much as you can and learn as much as you can. Thanks, Prasad. We will now continue with today's world, and we will talk today about the AWS migration strategy. So I'll add our technical expert today on stage, Nabil, and we will talk to Prasad little later. So Nabil, welcome. And you are today is a AWS technical expert, and I am a curious customer. Please little bit introduce yourself, and then we'll go on to these migration strategies.
Thank you, Ashish. Hi, everyone. My name is Nabil. I'm a senior solution architect from the migration and modernization specialty team at AWS. I've been with AWS almost 6 years. I'm based out of Seattle. See everyone from different places around the world. I'm happy to be here, and I'm looking forward to answer any questions you might have.
Great. So we will do it in a role play manner. Like I'll be customer and Nabil would be expert. So you will understand how the communication happens. But we are going to give a little twist today. I'm like a curious customer and I have done some of my research and I am now going to validate some of my learning with Nabil and I'll in the way explain you also the concept on that. So Nabil, like I explored the slide deck which you have given me, and based on that, this is my understanding that whenever we start the migration, there are a lot of many tools available and lots of services available for helping me with migration. And there are three main phases of migration: assessment of what we have, mobilize where we are in current journey, and then migrate and modernize where we are actually performing the migration and modernizing. And within each of these phases, there can be various subcomponent, various services who could help us in getting the migration done. So we discussed about few services last time, and we will focus on more important services this time. So, as a question in chat, can anyone tell me which service we discussed last time in week 01? Let me know if you remember the service name which we have discussed into the last week's session. And we will discuss new service today that would be application migration service MGN. Now, why is the name confusion, Nabil? The service name is called application migration service, but the short form is MGN.
Yeah, it is confusing. I think that the first time they created the name is like it's coming from migration, so it's shortcut
Mhm.
MGN from migration. But yeah, the service is called application migration service. It is a little bit
Yeah.
confusing.
Yeah, means, and if they named it AMS, that would be also confusing with Amazon managed services, which we offering as an enterprise services, right? So that's why
Yeah,
they named it AWS MGN, which is a migration service. So,
yeah,
Nabil, this is I understood properly, and we talked about assessment. We discussed about application discovery service, as people are saying into the chat. Yes, application discovery service ADS we would discuss about. Now, let me focus on validating my understanding, and I am not very technical person, so I try to relate things on my own way. So I try to understand migration as a part of something like, hey, we are going to move a house, like we discussed last time. When we do migration, it could be people migration where a company is, we are changing company or we are changing continent or city. Similarly, now I am taking an analogy here to explain you about moving to a new house. So what you would do, what activities would be there, what kind of components you would use when you are moving the house. So validate my understanding, Nabil. If I'm making mistakes somewhere, let me know, and we will
sure.
go from there. Good. So let's say if I'm moving houses, so maybe we have our internet connection, right? So let's say I'm currently using internet connection from Virgin Media, and if I'm moving to the new house, if it is the same internet service provider available in that area, it would be best that I just go ahead and say, hey, I am moving houses. This is my new address. I would move on this particular date. Can you make my internet available on that particular place? So I would still be carrying the same contract. No need to go ahead with a different provider and all. So I would prefer to call it I'm relocating my internet connection. So that is what a relocate is, right, Naveen?
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I think you explain it really good in simple way. So it's basically how you can move things from one place to another without really touching or like changing much in that in that thing, right? Like if you move your furniture from one place to another, you just will get a truck, put that furniture on it, and move it. You will put it in the same place. Like it will be exactly the same. You're not buying new furniture. You're not adjusting. You're not changing color of the same furniture. It's just moving from one place to another.
Great. So yeah, that is relocate. And people who are not able to relate technically, we will give example on the next slide on the technical stuff. So you should be able to relate it exactly. But I'm just
Yeah.
setting the step. And now let's say if I'm a computer system which I love most, I have like 4 or 5 systems set off now. So I would do what? I'll shut it down, disconnect some of my servers, some of my networking gear, and then perform a lift and shift. So take it from old home, move it to new home, put it on the table, get them started, connect them, and then I'm again up and running. So that would be my rehost operation. So we will be focusing on this lift and shift today. We'll discuss in technical detail what is rehosting. So rehosting is basically idea is you are taking things, lifting and then shifting them. That's all we are doing. And on the similar way, you may sometime have to perform a lift and reshape. Like I give an example, Nabil, like when I moved my house, I had my electric blind and roller blind. I liked the color very much and I couldn't find a replacement. So what I had to do, I had to cut it to the size, and I wanted some little bit of automation, a remote controlled one. So I added a motor in that, and now it has become a new blind in my new home. So that has been lift and reshaped. That is what we call as a replatform. It is the same stuff, but we replatformed in a way so it is now suitable to the newer environment which I am moving on, right?
Yeah, that's exactly correct. Yeah.
Great. And then we could have, let's say, a study table which I had. It was an old study table, but I still had memories associated with it. And I wanted to have it a bigger top because I had now multiple monitors. So what I did, I just redesigned it. I added caster at the back of it, so that at the foot of it, so that I could move it freely. And then I have added a bigger top on top of it. But still, it is a table. So what I did, I refactored it a bit. Maybe I added a power socket. I added a bigger tabletop. I added casters for easy movement. That's what I have done. That is refactor. And similarly, I may had a cooking oven, and that was little old, and there were new energy efficient ovens available. So I talked to the person who have given this oven a company, and they said, hey, there is a new series, there is an exchange offer. You could go ahead and get that exchange. So that's what I did as a drop-in shop. That was a repurchase, but I have taken rid of my old oven, and then same services facility was available in my new oven. So that was my repurchase. And I quickly talk about two more. One could be old cabinet. So it could be something which I do not want to use anymore. Maybe it was like seen the good days and it has been like at the end of the life cycle. So I would probably discard it. Maybe sometime I may have to check the sentimental value of things before discarding. Maybe it was a gift from someone. I may still want to preserve it. But otherwise, if it is no use to me, I would decommission it. And when you migrate, it may not be possible that you carry everything. There may be some things which you may not want to carry or may not be able to carry. Like in my old house, I had some flower pots, but in my new house, I didn't had time or will not have time for doing all the stuff. So what I did, I kept it as it is in my old house. So maybe I will co-locate or revisit them later. So that is what we call as a retain. So this is what my analogy is about, how I would be going ahead and performing all these 7 hours of migration, right?
And then I think as you see, Ashish, that I think as you go through these examples, that I think you understand that refactoring is the most complicated one, right? Because you are adding,
Exactly.
changing things, and then from simple point of view, you see that retain or retire will be the simplest thing. So that's, and then everything else is in between these two.
Yep. That makes sense. So this is our 7 hours of moving a house, and let's now try to relate it to the technical terms. So let's say we are now moving to cloud, right? So I'll give some example, and Nabil help me if I am making
Sure.
some mistakes. So help me understand. So when I'm talking about moving to cloud, if I have my existing VMware workload, I still want to use VMware. I have my containerized workload running on Docker or Kubernetes. I may want to bring them as it is. That is where I would be leveraging AWS services. Like we are running VMware on-prem, and we bring it to Elastic VMware service. We were running Kubernetes or Docker, and we bring it to Amazon container services like ECS or EKS. So that is what we consider as relocate. The native VM is not changing, it is still the same, and we are just relocating them into a newer platform, which is a managed service, which is offered by it, right? So
Yeah,
this relocation can be done, right? That should be easy.
that should be easy. That's very more like kind of more straightforward compared to the other
Straightforward,
R.
yes.
Yeah.
And in our next session, we are going to focus on this Elastic VMware Service, EVS. So we would have a lot of discussion on technical stuff of EVS into the coming section. So we'll talk about relocate there. And now, let's say I have a homegrown database server, a very typical old database, lot of customization, lot of schema changes I have done. What I would prefer now, because the hardware which it is running on the end of availability or end of support, I may want to rehost it. So maybe I take that database from my data center and move it to cloud, and maybe run it as a managed service, or maybe run it as a independent service running on Amazon EC2 machine. So that is what I would prefer as something what we call as rehosting. Is this
Yeah.
rehosting also similar to lift and shift? This is what we should call it.
Yeah, it is. It is similar. It is similar to lift and shift, and it's like as you mentioned that most of the customer who are running on-prem, they have that legacy servers or VMs, and very complicated to customize. So they prefer just to move that lift and shift to AWS, and that's like the most common pattern we see.
Yep. Yeah. That's the easy thing, right? Like you have tools available, and we'll focus more on the technical stuff. So help me there, Nabil, when the time comes. And then what I'll do with my old Windows server, or maybe I have a database which is very, very old. what I'll do with those things. So probably I would need to upgrade them. Let's say Windows is coming with the end of support for Windows 2019. I need to upgrade from an older version, or I was using MySQL, which was unmanaged on premises. Now I want to move to Aurora. So in this case, it may not be direct lift and shift. It would be a little bit of lift, tinker, make some changes, and then shift. So that would be called my replatforming some of my services. So that's how we should be able to perform replatform, right?
Yeah. Yeah, and sometimes like kind of basically you're reshaping a little bit the service. So you don't want to manage your own infrastructure or something. You just want to have, let's say that your operation team is small, and then you want to move to managed service. So that's where you move to, like let's say Amazon Aurora, for example, instead of managing your own database.
That's great. So yeah, that is replatform or reshaping. That's what is the right word also. That should be done. And then what if I do with I have my legacy mainframe application, a COBOL application which is running up, right? So that can be also made into cloud native, but obviously it would require a little bit more effort. So that I would have to perform refactor.
Yeah.
Is this
And that's
same as re-architecting?
Yeah.
So it's the same as re-architecting my application.
It is, yeah.
Okay, so yeah, refactor, re-architect, redesign, whatever you call it, but you are basically changing. It is still an application. End user may not see the difference, but from the back end, you will change it to maybe run on container, maybe run on Lambda function, maybe run on a managed service. So that is what you would do as a refactor on that. And then I may have some on-prem CRM, HR, finance application. Let's say I'm using Salesforce, or I am utilizing a particular antivirus service, or I'm using a monitoring service. So what you may think of, you may look for an alternate of that into marketplace. So Salesforce is available into a subscription model also. Maybe observability service you are using, let's say Prometheus, may be available into a subscription market space. So you can get that from marketplace, and that would be considered as your repurchase of your application. So you have changed your on-prem licenses with the help of the vendor into a subscription model. So rather than a per seat or per node license, now you have a subscription based license into cloud. So that would be repurchase. And Nabil, what role AWS Marketplace plays here? Why I have to get things from Marketplace? What is Marketplace?
So it's basically like having different available services on marketplace. Let's say that you are using database MongoDB on-prem, and you want to still use that on AWS. So you can go to marketplace and you purchase that from AWS Marketplace for MongoDB. Similar for any other softwares, as you just mentioned, right? So it's available software for like different ISVs or different SIs like on marketplace to be able to select the software what you have instead of just maintaining that. And then the good thing about it, you pay as you go for that service. You don't have to buy it upfront or you pay for it upfront.
Makes sense. And these are validated solutions by AWS, right? The vendor has to go through some approval process before they put it into marketplace.
Yes, of course. Yeah.
Great. So there is authenticity also, and then validation also done on that. And then what if you have some old DNS servers running, or you have some load balancer, the physical ones, or tape drives? Probably it will not make sense to bring them as it is into the cloud. So maybe instead of using your old DNS server, why not use Route 53? Instead of using your physical load balancer, why not use Elastic Load Balancer? Instead of tape drive, let's say use Amazon S3 Glacier. So what we see here is a retire type of scenario, like we retired the old technical debt, and then we have came up with the newer concept of newer services and use them into our environment. So that's what we will call it retire. And will there be something, Nabil, which cannot be migrated due to technical or compliance or regulatory reasons?
Yeah, there are some like customers we see that they cannot really migrate some of the data because there is some compliance for security. Let's say health data, they have to maintain it in on-prem. There is specific compliance to keep it. That's why we call it like the hybrid cloud. So they have an on-prem because they have to maintain some of these data as on-prem, or maybe in a specific region, which or a specific country, which the data cannot get out from that place. Then they have to maintain this data. So that's where we have to maintain part of this data on-prem or in a specific region. Yeah.
Makes sense. So that is what we call retain. And sometimes retain may happen because of technical reasons too. Let's say that technology cannot be used in cloud. Let's assume, right? But then maybe in future, I also call it like reiterate, right? So maybe today it is not possible to move that application in the easiest possible manner, but with the advancement into cloud technology, maybe in future you still able to move those. So we may have to reiterate and look for any option to move these technologies to the cloud. So that's how things would work. Good. So that's what my understanding is. And for people who are joining us, what I have done, I have put together a PDF file, and in that PDF file I have put this comparison. So download it. We'll send link so that it would be easy for you as a one pager where you will be able to do comparison and understand whatever we just discussed about. And Nabil, we want to understand a little bit more here on the what should be my determining the R type of migration. So we have migration complexity, time and cost, and optimization on that. So validate my understanding. What I feel that if I am going with this approach like retain, retire, and all, retain would be my lowest complexity thing, and rehost, retire will be, whereas refactor would be my highly complex thing to do, right?
Yeah, that's a really good way to put it out. Yeah, that's a simple way to put that. Retain is always is the lowest because you don't really do much. Refactor, you have to check the dependency. You have to maybe rewrite the code in different language. Make sure that if you're gonna put it in maybe containers or something, so that's why it consumes more time and more
Makes
also
sense.
complexity. Yeah.
And then same thing I go think for time and cost also. Like if I'm retaining or rehosting, time and cost would be less. But if I have to refactor and redesign everything from scratch, let's say mainframe or COBOL application, obviously it would take so much time. So that would be also attracting a lot of high time and cost for us. And but is there a benefit of refactoring? Why somebody would do refactor if it is very complex and it is very time consuming thing? What do you think, Rabil? Why somebody would do refactor then?
Yeah, that's a good point. So it's a lot of customers say that you don't want to move whatever they have an on-prem just to AWS or to cloud, right? Because what is the benefit? You want to get the agility. Like if you move to containers, then it's faster time to market to release new things. You get the actual benefit from the cloud, like services, integration, native integration with all of the cloud. So there is a lot of benefit from having that refactor instead of like just maintaining legacy custom application, taking benefit from also monitoring, security, and all of this from moving to cloud. It's not only
Makes
just
sense.
to spend time and money. There is
Yeah,
definitely a better benefits for that. Yeah.
that makes sense. So I would say like you would get the most benefit of that application if you refactor it. Obviously, you have to still weigh in all the complexity, time, and cost. But yeah, any application which has now been designed in a cloud native way would be able to give you the best optimal result when it runs into cloud in terms of scalability, performance, security, cost optimization, and ease of maintenance. So this is what is the way of doing things, and we would have a I'll send you a link later to audience where you would have like a flowchart based methods to identify when I should go for determining R type. Let me quickly bring it up if I can click this link here and get it to you. So here is a link we will share into the follow-up email, prioritization and migration strategy. So here in the detail section, you would be able to see, okay, what should be the process of it. So it is small font size and all, but yeah, this is talking about what should be my approach when I have to decide whether I should go for migration or for retire or retain or rehost or replatform, and what would be the approach associated with. So this is a good flow chart, little complicated because it has many yes and no answers to go forward with, but yeah, this is a good way to understand and check your own understanding plus validate your business driver. What would be the best way for moving forward? What R would work best for you? All right. Good. So hopefully I got my validation of understanding. So that is good, Nabil. But now I am not very thorough with what your application migration service can help me with, why I would use it, what are the nitty-gritty details, what is its architecture. So I like to understand a little bit more in detail. And if you can show me a demo around it, that would be great. So let's talk a little bit on the application migration service now.
Sure.
And I'll let you screen share and we'll
Yeah.
get started. And questions? Yeah, go ahead, sir. Let me check if you have screen share coming up. Yes, that is where we are.
Okay.
Great.
Okay. If there is any question, Ashish, you can help me along the chat too. And I think we have
Sure, we'll
people.
try.
Yeah. Yeah, as Ashish mentioned, that for today we are going to focus on the application migration service. This is basically on the migrate and modernize phase during the migration, right? And then just to start first by like, what is the MGN? Like, think about or application migration service. As we mentioned that, think about it that you want now to be able to migrate these things or move things from one place to another. So you can do backup and restore. You can do if you have in old days that if you have like your own laptop or like PC or a computer, you want to move things from one old PC to another. What do? You do that, you start to copy the data on like maybe a storage or a hard drive, and then move it to another PC or laptop. So it's kind of in theory, it's a similar idea from MGN. So what it does that it copy everything from on-prem to AWS, and it's copied on the block level. When we say block level, that it's regardless what is the size of your VM or physical server, it copy that from on-prem to AWS as is, and it allow you to test that before you cut it over to production. So that's basically lift and shift, and it can apply that across different environments. So it doesn't have to be an on-prem. Doesn't have to be virtual machine. It can be physical server. It can be also for other cloud providers to AWS migration. And the good thing about it, it minimizes the cutover time. So you can copy that. You clone your own infrastructure on-prem. Let's assume that it's running on on-prem. So you clone that on AWS, and you do all of your testing. You validate all of your testing before you do the cutover. So the benefit from that, you don't have to enter like kind of stop anything going from the traffic going to your on-prem. Your on-prem is still working. Everything is going, the traffic going through the on-prem, and you are just validating everything on AWS, making sure that the application is up and running, all of the traffic is going through. And then once it is done, then you cut over that to production, and then you start to direct the traffic through the DNS from on-prem to AWS. And we're gonna go through this, how it works in high level, and then we'll also go through a demo for that.
Makes sense. And so this is a cost associated with this particular service, Nabil?
No. So MGN is a free service, but the infrastructure was a spin up from the MGN. That's the cost what you pay for.
Mm-hmm. So when the data is migrated, let's say it is using EBS or S3 or maybe any other services like VPC, that is where I will pay, but I do not pay for just using MGN as a service. There is no cost on that. So that's a good thing to hear.
Yeah,
Right.
that's correct. Yeah. And in high level, we just would like to understand first how MGN works. So we have like kind of a small, like kind of a assumption that we're gonna say that your data centers have one VM, and that VM has like two different disks, and we are gonna have on the right side that here is the AWS region, and in that AWS region we'll have the application migration service or MGN. And what we will do that we'll have a staging environment where we are gonna clone that on-prem infrastructure in that staging environment, but it's kind of a lower environment for you. It is like a small scale environment to be able to validate your own service before you really cut over to the production. And what happened, that's how MGN works. Basically, you're installing a replication agent. So that replication agent is stored in Amazon S3. So you are gonna download that agent, you install it in your VM, so that the purpose for that to be able to replicate, we call it replication agent, replicate the disk 1 and disk 2 in this diagram to AWS, and then we are gonna authenticate that using IAM access key and security, so that everything is being authorized and authenticated. And as you see that,
can I ask a question here, Nabil?
Sure. Yeah.
So when we see this agent, so can it be installed on Windows also, or is it a Linux only agent?
No, it can be installed in Windows or Linux. It actually MGN supports a wide variety of different operating system. We can also share that during the like as a follow-up link for all of the supported
that makes sense,
operating system. Yeah, that's a good question. And then when you see that, what happens for the application migration service or MGN, it basically uses EC2 to spin up a replication servers. So the application servers, when you hear the application server's name, it's actually an EC2 spin up, and then we're gonna see that also. And what it does, this replication servers, it basically collect the data using the replication agent, which is installed in on-prem. and then copy that data to EPS volumes on the staging area. And that's once you have that, so the traffic going through the control plane, that's basically all secure traffic, and in the data is going through another channel between the replication agent and the replication server. As you see here, you have the data plane replications. That's different port, different data being continuously being replicated from on-prem to AWS. And once you have that
Can I ask
staging,
one more question here?
yeah, sure.
So what is the connectivity from your data center to region? Should it be a direct connect? Is it mandatory, or I can use public internet also?
You can use public internet. So we recommend to have direct connects because it's like a private dedicated connections for you. So it depends on the size of the customers. If you have a lot of data center, like let's say we're talking thousands of VMs to be migrated from on-prem to AWS, so you can use either one, but we recommend to use direct connect so that you can have a dedicated bandwidth from on-prem to AWS. Yeah, if using
And even if
yeah.
And even if it is public, I'm still having encryption in place, right? So it is all end-to-end encrypted. Nobody can like look into the data I'm transferring.
Yeah, everything is encrypted from on-prem to AWS. Whether you're using public internet or even using, if you're going to use direct connect, you're going to encrypt the data using direct connect too. So by default, direct connect is not encrypting the data. Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. And one more validation. This is a regional service, right? So I can transfer to any of the region of my choices. Like if I want to move to Oregon or I want to host it into Osaka, I can select any region to get started, right?
Yes, you can select any region, and then you can deploy after that your VMs or like the data what you are gonna migrate. You can have it across different accounts in AWS, across different region in AWS. But the service can be initiated in any region. Yes.
Makes sense. Thank you.
Yeah, that's a good question. And then once, as you see that you have the staging area here, we can start to have a snapshot. And the reason for this snapshot is basically to spin up the production area. And then to be able to do that in the production area. So let's think about it now. You have everything in the staging area. You have the replication servers replicated your data. You're going to have the conversion servers, which is another EC2. Is basically to spin up your test or cutover data, cutover VMs, to be able to validate and make sure that all of the traffic or the test cases what you have is being validated. And once you validate everything on the test environment, then you cut over that to the production. So what happens that the conversion servers basically takes that EPS what you replicated and then create an EPS from your own based on like specific settings. We're going to see also how we do that. And once this is done, this conversion server is actually as a temporary server. It's just the only point from this conversion servers is to make sure that the data being copied from the replication agent, when we transfer that from the EPS volume in the staging area to the production area, it is putable, and it's also having the correct configuration, whether it is Windows for putting or if it is Linux. Also, it has all of the network drivers being there. Make sure that it is compatible for being up and running on the cloud or AWS cloud. So that's the main benefit from having a conversion server. And once you have that, then you can select also the EC2, and then you can attach that volumes to your instance. We are gonna maybe Ashish, will be maybe easier for you to show you how that will look like on the.
Yeah, but I have one more question. So
Sure.
when you are saying this is running in production area, is my on-prem machine still running, or it has to be decommissioned?
No, the on-prem is still running. All of this is still running, and then until you decide to decommission the on-prem. So once we're gonna see that there is different, like you are gonna cut over to production, and once you cut over, you mark it as production. At that time, when you route all of your traffic from on-prem to AWS, and then you change your DNS configuration, at that time you can decommission your on-prem.
Okay, so it's a good way to perform a non-disruptive testing of my application before I actually open it for production. So that's a good thing.
Yeah,
Makes sense. Makes sense.
And then from replication point of view, replication servers has a template. This template you can configure your instance type, the EPS volume, security group, all of the configuration what you have for that replication servers, the size for that to be able to move the data to AWS. There is a configuration for that. And also for the launch template, you have a configuration. So you don't have to use the same settings for staging and production. You can have a smaller instance size on the application. The launch template will be basically the production size for what you have on-prem. And once you do that, you have like to run different like after post operation, right? Post production or post spinning up that server, you might need to install some application. You might need to do some configuration, and that's what we call it the post launch template. And then we're gonna talk about that also as how we gonna do that, especially around like if you have a Windows and you wanna do licensing to make sure that licensing what you are bringing or license included from AWS, because we have different offers. It depends on the customers. In your case, Ashish, I don't know if you have license included or you are gonna have bring your own license from Windows. If you have Windows servers, then we're gonna select which option we're gonna do that in the launch template, and then we're gonna use also if it's license included, we're gonna use System Manager to make sure that license being automated and activated on all of the servers.
Makes sense. That's an interesting slide, yeah, and it covers the end-to-end architecture. So if I summarize, we install the agent, we start the replication. The replication goes into EBS volume through an EC2 in a staging area, and when we want to test, a snapshot is taken. Then the machines are launched from there, and then once I'm happy, I can perform some post-launch action also, like domain join, license update, antivirus update, configurational changes. And once I'm happy, then I can do the cutover where my DNS would start pointing to the production area which I have. Is my understanding valid?
Yeah, that's perfect. Yeah, you got it right.
Great. So yeah, I'm excited to see the demo. Let's see how all these things looks into AWS console.
Yes. I'm gonna switch my screen and then let's see.
There are some questions coming up. We will handle these questions, and obviously questions are being answered in the chat as we speak. But yeah, people who are answering question, if there is something interesting and if you want us to highlight, let me know, and we can put that question here for everyone to understand.
Okay. Do you still see the slides?
Let me quickly check. Yeah, I still see the slide. No. I see the NAS console. Yeah, that's what I'm looking for. Yeah.
Okay.
Console
Awesome.
is there.
Okay.
If you can zoom in little bit zoom in, that would help everyone. Yeah, that's better.
Okay.
Exactly.
Okay. That's good. Thank you for that. So it's basically when we come, let's assume that the first time you are log into AWS, that will be the landing page. Okay. And then what we were gonna search, that we wanna make sure that we are we're gonna have the MGN service or the application migration service. So we're gonna just put in the search application migration service here.
Yep.
And what I have already prepared the environment on my account, so that to make sure that we have everything is ready, because it takes time to do that. So what I have different servers running on-prem, and then 2 of them are ready for testing, and then 1 of them in test phase and 1 of them in cutover phase. So the servers, what we have here, as you see in the top here, it's basically giving you the statistics about how many servers you have and what is the status of these servers. So we have like 50% in launch, 50% healthy. What means healthy, the data is being replicated from on-prem to AWS. So that's the same what we were seeing in the slide. We have these servers, we're all replicated, and once they are replicated, you see that they are ready for testing. And if I click on one of them, just to show that's the life cycle of any migration service. So first, it is not ready. That's still not yet been, the data is not replicated by the replication agent. And then once it is being replicated, you see that ready for testing. And then after that, we will go through the other migration phases. So let's assume that I'm gonna have this servers or a VM. We want to start testing for that, right? So what we will do that I'll go back to the servers. Is the font still is good, or I should increase?
Yeah, it's good. It's good. Yeah,
Okay.
it's visible, clearly visible.
Yeah. And as you see here, like you see the snapshots being continuously taken. So that's, I have that servers are running since 2 days ago, and then still every 15 minutes it's been replicating the data, making sure that if there is a new data in on-prem, so the MGN replication agent is replicating that to AWS. So what I do that if I select here and I have I want to move to different phase, so that I will say that launch a test instance.
Okay.
So yeah.
So sorry to interrupt. You already done the replication part. These are now replicated server which are visible here, and from there we are performing a launch of the test machine.
Exactly. Yes.
Great.
So once I press and launch test instance, that will be the same as test in progress here. So I can click on that. It depends on if it will take time or not. But we have, yeah, test in progress, the same as this one. So now we can perform some testing. I can go back here, and if I want to go back and revert ready for testing, so that will move it back, because if I want to do some configuration changes or anything, so I can revert back that server or the VM for revert for testing, and I can do that change of configuration. And as you see here, there are different cutovers or like the test phases. So we are gonna do cutover for that instance, finalize, and then that's the question what you ask is if once we cut over everything, we finalize the cutover, and then that's when you can remove your own prem instance, or you can decommission the on-prem VMs. So if I go back here to that launch instance, what we have, you can log into that instance, and you can see here test in progress. And once you see that this is the server information, what you have, when it started, what kind of instance, and as I mentioned that this instance you have is using MGN using EC2 to be able to spin up that instance. So if I go to the EC2 console here and I refresh just to get the last thing, you see here.
And these are on their own VPC, so it's not going to create problem with my existing resources, right?
No, it will not create any problem. So you can use your own VPC, or you can use
That's
existing VPC. Yeah. Yeah. And then as you see here, these are the name of the VMs. What we are having is the same names what we have in the MGN. And because I started initialize the testing for one of the servers, you see here the conversion server.
Conversion server we were talking about. Yeah.
Yes, and it is now in initializing phase. So what's happening now? The conversion server is initialized, and once initialized, it started to convert that VM from the staging to testing phase. And once it has been started in the testing phase, we are gonna have that excuse me, that initialization or that conversion server will be shut down after that. So it's just temporary server to convert the data and make it bootable on the environment on AWS. And that's here. Whenever we do something, you will see that reflected on the EC2 here. I'm just gonna drink some water. I don't know, Ashish, if you have specific questions about thing, because the next thing I would like to go through, like explain to you how the launch settings or like the replication settings looks like, because it's like important to understand this concept also.
Yeah, means just validating that the replication traffic will take time depending on how much changes are happening on on-prem, what kind of bandwidth you have, what kind of compression you have. So it will be different for different settings, right?
Yes, and it depends on the size, and as you stated exactly, it depends on the bandwidth for the traffic between on-prem and AWS or other cloud providers to AWS, and also it depends on the size of these VMs on on-prem.
Makes
The
sense.
bigger size, the longer it will take.
It will take. Good, great. Go ahead,
Yeah.
sir. Go ahead.
And then here, I just also want to show that there is also the log for the jobs what you are starting. So if we have the snapshots being started, you see here all of the history of the data or like the conversion, what's happening on the life cycle of that VM, starting from snapshot, conversion started, and then after that you will see whatever updates happen in here. And then you see here also when it started and what is the completed time for that. For this task is already, or for this job, it's already completed. I'm just showing how it will look like. So you can track all of the progress of the VMs in here. And one thing also before we jump to the templates. So if you have these servers, you see here, these servers, like let's assume that these pre-installed servers, they are all for one application, right? So I have these three are Linux servers, and this one is a Windows server. So if you want to migrate all of them together, that's what we recommend, move all of the application together. So your application database, which is talking together, which is have dependency together, move them together at the same time. So you can create waves in here.
So wave is basically
So if you
grouping
go
of
here,
servers,
you can
right?
create a wave, and that wave will have, yes, exactly. That's the right way to say it. You group the server together, and then when you start, you can, instead of having one by one, you can just say that I want to migrate all of these servers or spin up all of the tests for all of these servers together on one thing. Yeah.
And like you suggested last time in our meeting, that we initially start with some low hanging fruits, as we call them, like small servers, not so critical. And once we develop a good understanding on how migration works, how much time it takes, what testing is required, then we start with our most critical applications, right?
That's exactly right. And then also, I don't know if last time we talked about this. Before you do the migration, we talk about like also setting up landing zone, right? So what I mean by landing zone is defining your account strategy. How many accounts you should have? What is the organization for that account? What we call it the organization units. How many accounts on that organization? If you have some accounts for production, some accounts for testing, some account for sandbox for your developers, and then how the network is being structured around all of these accounts. The VPC, is it one VPC across multiple accounts, or how these VPC communicate if they are multiple VPC using peer-to-peer or using transit gateway? Are they across different regions? Where are your customer? So all of this, what we call it landing zone. And we have a service which is control tower, which is automating all of this for you. You just need to select how many accounts you have, how many organization unit in each, how many organization unit and how many account in each organization unit, and which regions they are. So that simplify the way this control the landing zone being handled, and then also you centralize, or if you're logging for all of this VM across multiple account, across multiple regions, you centralize all of that in like what we call it like logging or audit account, so that also it help your security team to make sure that you can have full control on who's accessing what the application looks like, or if also for your support team, if all of the support for a specific issue, you have all of the logs in one place. So you need to define that before you actually migrate the servers, right? You need to set that stage. And then once you have that stage being done, then you start to migrate your server. Think about it like you're building a building. You cannot have your apartment before you put the base of that building, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Good one.
Yeah. From configuration point of view for the VMs, you have replication template and launch template, right? And in these templates is basically what you define your network. What is the VPC? What subnet you're gonna spin up that VM on it? What is the instance size you see here? It is T3 large. And what is the volume? If it is by default, we are using GP3, but you can change that volume too. And also your security group is being defined in here. That's important that for both replication server, that's the template for it. And you have also launch template. That's basically what is the size of that instance when we go to production. And what the EPS is the same kind of configuration. What is the GP3 for that? If you have any tagging for this, and what is the configuration you would like to specify? If it is Windows or Red Hat, if you have a license or license included, all of these configurations being in this template. You define that before you change that. You can also change this configuration when you spin up the VM. And then at the end here, we have the post-launch template. If you have a specific application or a specific configuration you would like to kind of use after the instance is up and running. And we use SSM mainly for like kind of deploying multiple things on kind of fleet of VMs.
Common tasks.
Yeah.
Great. That makes sense. So yeah, that gives me idea. So we have three main component here: replication template, then there is a launch template, and there are post-launch template also to ensure the machine is customized as per our need. And that's how we would be able to get it into domain join or install antiviruses or configure inventory correction or whatever is required. So that's good. That's good to know.
Yeah. And then by the time we've finished here, also EC here, that server also is still testing in progress.
It takes time.
Yeah, it takes time for that. Yeah. But as you see here, that's the one here we have test in progress launched, and in the same we can move it. Yeah.
That's a good demo, Nabil. I got better understanding. So thanks for that. And what I'll do, I'll give some more context to other people who are asking questions around it, and I'll share my screen now and give you details of the workshop which you can use to get started with it. So there was a question that, hey, I don't have on-prem server. How I start with testing that? So you don't need actual physical on-prem servers. Just deploy another EC2 in the same region or another region, and why don't you replicate it? See, when you talk about a server, it is a machine which has IP address, right? Which has an operating system, which has the replication agent installed. So what I did for my own testing last time, Nabil, I installed it on my laptop, the personal laptop, the agent, and replicated my laptop into the cloud. So that can also work as on-prem. But if you want to keep it small, install a very basic Amazon EC2 machine in any region or in the same region, and then use it as an on-prem server. Pretend it is an on-prem server. You do not need to physically have an on-prem server. It could be any machine where you could get started with, right?
Yeah, that's a good way to do it. Actually, in my environment, I have it in different region. So you can have it in different region. You have different account. You can have it in the same account, different VPC. So it's just the whole point is just to have it in different VPC networking point of view, so that you can see how the VPC being or the traffic being transferred. Yeah. Great, and if you follow the link of the lab, what we're going to share.
Yeah. So this is the workshop.
Go through all of this. Yeah.
Yeah. So workshop people, we shared this workshop last time. We focused in the application discovery service last time, and this time we are focusing on the rehost part. If you see the screen, and here you will get the information about what we are getting started with. So we are importing data, installing replication agent, learning about migration, defining the post-launch modernization application thing. So everything is well written, well documented here. This is my application service, how I go ahead with import some data of existing services. Afterward, I am going ahead and installing Linux agent here, as you could see. So this is the place from which my agent is getting installed from an S3 bucket and US West 2. We then install the agent. Afterward, we run it on a Windows WordPress machine server. So we go to that machine and install these particular agent, supply some password, and then I would go ahead and perform the replication. So in this workshop, you should be able to see everything from start to finish, all the phases Nabil talked about. You should be able to see them into action if you try it. And then there are some post-launch actions also which you could leverage. So go ahead, do the workshop. And we know that some of you may not have time to do the workshop or may not have resources to do the workshop. So what I've done, I have published a training on Udemy, and in that I have made this application migration service section as a preview. So anyone, you don't need to buy the training, but you can still see the whole setup of application migration service. So all the explanation, all the demo, you should be able to see. So it's around 1 hour of content, but it should give you a deep dive on replication template and demo and then configuration setting. So this will be a really useful thing for you to get started with. You don't need to buy the training, and you can just view the preview in Udemy so that you would have a better understanding on how MGN works. We'll include this link into the resources email so everyone can get benefited from it. Right.
Awesome.
Any last minute thing, Nabil, you want to talk about when we shifted to behavioral track?
Yeah, I just the only thing that, because I was just trying to look at some of the questions, is everyone I think asking about the same on-prem thing. The main thing is just think about it. It's like you, as Ashish mentioned, and if you migrate from one country to another, or like you are moving to one place to another, it is understanding what you have in on-prem or other cloud provider, and
Exactly.
you want to move to AWS, how the network set up, how everything's set up, and then after that, MGN is just a tool to automate all of this for you. You don't have to do that manually. It simplify all of this, and then the main benefit is that it's just giving you a test environment to test all of this without interrupting anything on your production workload. So you don't have to stop traffic in all days that we have to copy that. We start to direct the traffic a little bit to be able to see if it works or not. You don't have to do that anymore. It's just that's clone environment in a staging. You can test whatever you want. And then once you're done with testing, you can cut over to production.
Makes sense. So thanks, Nabil, for that great demo and broad understanding on that. Now, everyone who is on the call, I want you to make sure you type 6 here on the chat. So I want to commitment that you will be joining all the 6 sessions. So everyone on the call, please type 6 into the chat. And then by the time we will add Marco to the stage. And thanks, Nabil. And there's some question which Nabil would answer in the chat if required. So keep up those questions coming. And let me add Marco to the stage. And everyone type 6, and you have to now join all the 6 questions. How have you, Marco?
Good, thank you, Ashish.
Great. You've been to a lot of summits, I believe. You've been to traveling a lot and probably meeting a lot of people, isn't it?
I have. I've shaken a lot of hands this year. I've been to the 3 summits in North America, and I will be in LA next week.
Oh, that's
the
great.
17th. So I'm going to be actually picking up all the 4 summit badges for North America this year.
Great. And that's why we bought some badges in our sessions too. So badges are cool. You could showcase them. So go ahead, everyone. Go ahead, grab those badges. And now I would be adding us guest speakers. So Alicia, welcome. Thank you for taking time on a Saturday. Really happy to have you here. And I will also add Abhi on the stage. And Abhi and Alicia, please introduce yourself, and then we'll get started with the behavioral session.
Well, thank you, Ashish. My name is Alicia Clogger, and I do work for AWS Training and Certification, where I support our AWS Skill Centers.
Great to have you here.
Hi, everyone. My name is Abhi. I'm a partner sales solutions architect at AWS. I've been with the firm for a little over 3 years and excited to be here.
That's nice. So today's topic is all about that, how we could go ahead and then be a solutions architect. So let me quickly share screen and tell you what we are trying to talk about. So we are going to talk about transitioning from traditional IT role to cloud solutions architect. And I'll hand over to Marco to lead this discussion. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you, Ashish. So basically, we're talking about migrating applications. Why not migrate your profile from wherever you are right now into tech? And that's why I actually brought 2 guests to this session today. First, I really want to talk about what it takes to go into tech. How do you transition from either a non-tech role into tech, or how do you transition from an on-premises role, just like migrating your application from on-premises into cloud? How do you transition your on-premises or traditional IT role into a cloud role? And I have Alicia with me to talk about this specific topic. She's a regional lead at AWS Skill Centers, and she champions accessible cloud education and directs the North American team to deliver trainings, not just across North America, but across the globe. There's virtual trainings across the globe. And I think she's the right person to tell us, how do we transition from a non-tech or an on-premise role into a cloud role? Is it difficult?
It really isn't. Thank you, Marco. The good news is, I think the group that's watching this has started, right? It is leaning in and learning. If you think about when you first stepped into tech, you had to upskill. It's the exact same for cloud skills and now AI skills. The skill centers focus on kind of very foundational learners and will guide through instructor-led classes, through the cloud practitioner or the AI practitioner certification. But it is mostly about taking that time to invest in yourself. And I think when you are skilling, you're not just growing your cloud skills, but you're showing a tenacity, some time management, and that curiosity that will serve you well in whatever job role you have.
Oh, 100%. I think the curiosity is key here.
Mhm.
Being willing to learn and being just able to make use of all of the resources out there. All of the stuff is free. There are so many resources that are free out there, including the program that we're on today. BESA is also free. And I think that investing time and investing your effort into learning is key. What do you think, Abi?
No, that's 100% correct. Even for someone like me who comes from a non-IT background, I did invest a lot of my time into resources. And back then, when I did not have a full-time job, and I used to work part-time at Tim Hortons, which is a restaurant chain here in Canada, I used to think probably 10 times, should I invest in courses? But back then, we did not have these many free education out there. But 100%, we must invest in ourselves in order to for us to upskill and become successful in life.
And yeah, what an achievement. You've come so far, Abi. Like when you came to Canada, starting at Tim Hortons, and now you're a solutions architect at AWS with partner sales, and you're supporting financial services industries in Canada. You're supporting enterprises, you're supporting greenfield customers. Like, what an amazing achievement. How did you get there? What was the thing that got you there? What do you think?
Well, I'd be lying if I say it's all my hard work. I would say it's a amalgamation or combination of meeting the right people, having the right soft skills, the behavioral track being very important in life. I have seen that firsthand. And yes, my story is a bit unconventional compared to the rest. I come from a non-IT background. I did not have a degree in tech, in IT in particular. And I did a variety of different roles, and I was fortunate enough to work in roles like data analyst, DevOps engineering, business analyst, to finally become a technical trainer, and then later transition to become a solutions architect at AWS.
Yeah, what an amazing achievement! What a wonderful career, starting from zero and going to essentially an SA hero, like many of our viewers today who want to become SAs. Alicia, do you see many of these types of stories in your field where you're working with somebody who's non-tech or who's in a beginner tech role or who's in a non-cloud role and is looking to migrate into cloud?
Yes, we do. And I think that there are like even in non-tech roles, knowing about the cloud and having these skills are important. If you're a program manager, if you are a product manager, you're going to work with individuals that are using the cloud. So you need to know a little bit about it. And, Abby's role resonates. A few of the trainers that teach out of the skill centers also come from non-traditional backgrounds. One started her career at Amazon in a fulfillment center and worked her way up. She's since transitioned actually into solutions architect role as well. But it is about those connections and that willingness to learn and devote yourself to just growing your skills that I think will serve you well in any role.
So, Alicia, would you think that anyone can do it, or does it take a certain type of person to be able to go and migrate or move themselves into a cloud role?
I think that anyone can do it. You'd mentioned that there's a ton of resources, and sometimes it's about just trial and error. We do instructor-led training at the AWS Skill Centers, but there are programs like this. There's AWS Skill Builder, which is digital self-paced. I would strongly encourage anyone to try. You may find that it really isn't what makes you happy or is the right career path for you, but you won't know until you invest some time. And we're kind of on that cusp of, where AI is transforming everything. It's sort of like what the internet did 20 years ago. So I truly believe that you will be left behind if you're not actively growing and learning some of these technologies that uh, are deeply injected across every part of our lives.
So essentially, start learning at the practitioner
Jump
level,
in.
start learning AI, learn. Oh man, that is really good insights. Thank you, Alicia. Abby, so as an existing, now that you've reached that pinnacle of becoming a solutions architect, what would you say was the most important personality skill or factor or thing that you did that actually helped you become a solutions architect?
Well, fun fact, I believe I was one of the very few to get into AWS without any AWS certification. But the turning point for me to actually becoming a solutions architect at AWS was I used to write a lot of blogs. Since the beginning of my career or my professional career, I used to write a lot of technical content where I used it as a means to express myself. For someone, a socially introverted person like me, I would have never imagined in 2025 I would be live here in YouTube, but I used to express myself in words. I used to write a lot of content, and by content I mean technical content. This really resonated well because as solution architects, you are considered to be trusted advisor for customers, and oftentimes they don't want you to speak. They want to see proof. They want to see facts. That I talk to our customers, they really ask if we have an AWS documentation that says what I just resonated. So I think a lot of the behavioral aspect, the soft skills, and the technical know-how is really important for you to become an SA, especially at an organization like AWS.
Well, that's great info. That's really great insight. And I love that fact that it's everybody can become a solutions architect, right? We all agree on that. There's no need to have some specific skills, while of course gaining those skills is important and learning those skills is important. I think that that's the major outcome for if you want to become a solutions architect, you got to be willing to learn, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's correct.
All right. And thank you both. Thank you, Alicia. Thank you, Abby, for being with us today. It's really wonderful that you were able to join us and talk a little bit about both a general transition into a cloud role and what becoming and what being a solutions architect really means to be. And I'd like to invite Ashish back to the stage, and maybe we can take some questions from the audience. Ashish.
Yeah, why not? Let's pick up some questions from the audience. And I have one question for you, Alicia. A lot of people may not know about what is skill builder. So, sorry, what is your skill center? So can you give some detail about what is skill center?
Absolutely. Thank you, Ashish. So AWS's training and certification department have a number of tools out there that are available for anyone to use. There is a free tier on Skill Builder. The AWS Skill Centers are part of a broader educational program, so everything that we do is free. We have 3 physical learning hubs, one in Seattle, Washington, one in Arlington, Virginia, and one in Cape Town, South Africa, where anyone is encouraged to come in, engage with interactive exhibits, and take our classes. Now, there are just 3 locations, so the good news is that the classes are available virtually as well. And we have a number of paths. So there is one for individuals that don't have any tech background to upskill into tech called Computer Foundations. We have one called Becoming a Cloud Practitioner that will lead you through what you would need to know in order to sit for the Cloud Practitioner certification. And we just launched a Becoming an AI Practitioner series, which is in 5 parts. There's an exam prep series or class as well that anyone is able to sign up and join virtually. You get access to AWS technical instructors like Marco and Avi were, but those that work directly for the skill centers.
Makes sense. That's a good one. So yeah, that's a good resource, and it's not a physical limitation to join these courses. Virtually
Yeah.
available, so you do not need to be physically present. So leverage these resources. There are a lot many resources in Skill Center, Skill Builder also, Alicia, right?
Correct. Yeah. A lot of learning paths, even into like the solutions architect or professional certification levels as well.
Great. I'll pick a question for Abhi here, and maybe it's an impromptu question, so feel free to deflect if you can't answer, Abhi. So how can one transition to CloudOps engineer from analytics field, right? You were into analytics.
That's correct. Yeah. So as a data or business analyst, you preferably would be working in an environment where you would be given a bunch of data, and then the goal would be to reach a particular workflow. So you'd be understanding the patterns, the item patterns, etc., to reach that final destination. But if your goal is to transition from a data or a business analyst to a cloud operations, a lot of my consulting experience has into an ops, preferably where service oriented. So let's assume you want to work as a cloud ops administrator within AWS. Learning the services like AWS Systems Manager would be very key. There are very few services within AWS that are essential for you to become a cloud operations engineer. So the first thing I would say would be to upskill yourselves into learning which are those technical services that you would need to enhance, where you stand, and then what are the skill gap that you would need to uncover to reach that ultimate position.
Makes sense. That's a good one. And yeah, that's good. And there was a question also, I'm still finding it, like somebody's asking, should I go for an AI certification or a cloud practitioner certification? What is your take on this, Abhi?
Well, the AI practitioner certification from AWS is a beginner-friendly exam that allows you to demonstrate your skills on the various AI tools we have within our tool set. So anything from Bedrock and then the latest with Agent Core, it allows you to just know the technical breadth of AI tools in AWS. However, if you are a beginner who may not have good experience about cloud computing in general, I would highly recommend to pursue the cloud practitioner exam, which was my first exam that I had pursued back in 2019 with a different cloud provider. And even in AWS, after joining AWS, that was my first exam that I had passed. So in terms of rating, I would always prefer the cloud practitioner first and then the AI practitioner exam.
Makes sense.
Yes, get your fundamentals right before jumping onto AI.
I want to highlight one thing, Prasad, here from somebody who is sending messages again and again. Hey, please don't hijack the chat. You're sending same question multiple times. It doesn't help. So please restrain from that. I can see that question 20 times. So it's not good practice. Please don't do that. Let other also ask question, and let not get our volunteer get distracted by the same question. If you are not able to get answer, probably there is something where we are answering it. So please be little patient and be respectful for others' time also. So please refrain from it. We don't want to block anyone. So please be little mindful.
I have put the user on timeout. Thanks for highlighting.
Right,
Ashish, I have one question that I would like to add here, which is this. Do we have a lead code or any coding round in the interview? I'll let Abhi answer it, or anyone else who wants to take it, and then I'll add my...
Yeah, no, absolutely. For the solutions architect role, no. So probably the misconception from others that I have seen again and again is you need to have some coding experience to become a solutions architect. No, I do not have a coding background, so let's keep it that way. But to answer Kishore's question, we do not have a lead code round, but what you would have is a presentation round. So there are a series of interviews that you need to pass. If I would say the most important one, more than a technical round, is the presentation round. So that means you'd be given a scenario, or you would be given the opportunity to select a scenario, and they would ask you to walk over the scenario as a solutions architect. So you would ask questions about cost, you would ask what are the burning concerns that the customer would have, and then what are the AWS tools that would help you to address those challenges and help them migrate successfully to AWS. So no lead code rounds, but a technical presentation round for sure.
Yes, and I am trying to paste a link in the chat. Let me see if I can do that, which is the playlist for the solutions architect interview that we did in our behavioral round last time. So here is the playlist. Yes, I think I pasted it in the right place. So you will be, this is a playlist of, I think, 8 sessions back to back. Of half an hour each, with a different guest speaker from AWS who talks about end-to-end the interview process of solution architect at AWS more specifically. But you will be able to get a glimpse into how generally in industry the solutions architect interview process works. And yes, that's the misconception that you will need a coding round. It doesn't generally happen that, at least for solution architect role. It's more on the architecture and your design skills, I would say, for the architecture and how you explain it.
Cool. Probably this is a question for, there is a question and Probably Alicia can answer it. What is AWS Cloud Institute?
Yes, so AWS Cloud Institute is a paid program where you are able to get upskilled through, if you do it full time, it's about 30 hours a week and it would take 9 months. You can go for 15 months as part time or an extended part time for 27 months. It is a way. I don't think that it's completely global just yet, but for individuals that are serious about getting a cloud role, there are a lot of hands-on labs and interaction with AWS employees, and I will find the link and share it.
Makes sense. That's good.
Now, there is another question I see here. Does AWS interview at AWS need prior experience of AWS architecting? I'll share my experience and then I'll let other folks share their experience. When I interviewed in 2019, I had zero AWS experience, literally zero AWS experience. So it was during the interview process that I took a Udemy course by Ryan Kurenberg at that time, like, a cloud guru. And during the interview process, I learned, because there was an assignment that was given, which was deploying a CloudFormation template that was provisioning a web service, and the web service was not configured properly, so we had to fix that. The issue was very small, but because I did not even know what a CloudFormation template is at that time, so I had to take the entire course and upskill myself, and then solving it took probably 5 minutes. It was just a small knuckle issue or something like that at that time. So getting into the interview process, no, you do not require. But during the interview process, it will be better for you to show, learn, and be curious, which is one of the leadership principles for Amazon, and get some skills so that you can show that you are willing to go there. I did not have any AWS certifications. I got all my AWS certifications after joining AWS. Within first 3 months, I got probably all the 3 associate certifications at that time. Now I think we have 5 associate certifications. It's becoming harder and harder, and a couple of professional certifications. So that was my experience. So answer is no. You do not require to get into the interview process, but once you're in the interview process, it's better you pick up some skills. Abhi, probably you might want to share your experience.
Yeah, no, I think it pretty much resonates to you as well, Prasad. It's not mandatory to have a prior AWS experience, especially in the architecting world, but it's good to have some cloud experience. So for me, it was the same. I did not have any AWS certifications until I joined AWS, but I did used to architect on Azure and GCP. And there's this one person that I would like to actually thank at this point, ex-AWS Principal Solutions Architect, who goes by Rajdeep Saha, or Cloud with Raj. I used to watch a lot of his tutorials back then. And one of his videos about how the architecture of Netflix, who's actually one of our proud customers of AWS, works, I did learn and embrace the way how he presented. And that was actually one of my interviews of presenting an architecture. That's what exactly I did. But to answer this question, it's not mandatory to have any prior AWS architecting experience, but having some cloud experience would be perfect throughout your interview stages.
Yeah, that makes sense. So yeah, I mean, tons of resources available. Everyone's path is different. Everyone has a different way of learning things. But I got a question, Marco, which can be probably with you. And like, there was a question about, I'm still finding it, like, there are so many resources available, right, to learn. So how somebody would be ensuring that, hey, I'm looking for the right resource. Yeah, this is the question which I have. Like, how to evaluate a resource learning before to invest time or money on it? That's a question for you, Marco. You've been a trainer, so probably you are into best shoe to answer this question.
Oh, for sure. So there are too many resources out there. Let's be honest, right? Mm-hmm. I'm going to admit that there are too many resources. Now, what I would say is follow the people that are in the know. Follow me on LinkedIn, right? I have to promote myself a little bit. Follow the people that are in the know that are recommending you these things. You'll see across the board that there's going to be some training, some courses, some specific links to specific things that are going to be promoted by a lot of different people. And that probably means that all of those things have already been evaluated by those individuals out there, and they're probably good. Now, you might not find it to be the right thing because we have different types of modalities to learn from. Some people like watching videos. Some people like joining live streams like at least 300 people today have proved that fact that they love watching live streams. Some people like to do self-paced courses, labs. Some people like to go to a classroom course. Now, there are all of those modalities available out there. It is going to take a little bit of research, follow the crowds, follow the people who are promoting training, follow everybody here, follow everybody who's becoming a solutions architect. We're all very familiar with what training is out there, and this program wouldn't exist if there was already good training to become a solutions architect out there, would it? We're filling the gaps, right? So yeah, it takes a little bit of research. If you dive into some course, if you dive into something and you see, this is not really for me, abandon it. If somebody's asking you for money up front without showing you any free portions of the courses where you can evaluate it, don't do it, okay? There's so many free resources. There's BESA, there's free courses on Skill Builder, there's Skill Center, there's free videos on YouTube, on other channels. There's so much free stuff. If you've covered all the free stuff and you're still eager for learning more, then there's going to be a lot of paid stuff out there. Like we've got labs on Skill Builder. There's over 1,000 labs. They require a subscription. Why? Because there's an account. There's an actual AWS account that is opened for you, is scripted for you, is designed, is deployed, gives you a challenge sometimes, gives you something to solve, a problem to solve. It's something that you just can't learn on your own. A scripted lab or a challenge lab, it's not something that you can build on your own. But if you are willing to build something on your own, you can. You can always open up an AWS free tier account and experiment. There's the workshops as well. So AWS has a bunch of workshops. Workshops.aws is the address. On the workshops, you will find, I think it's over 2,000 different workshops that you can run on your own if you want to. There are all kinds of topics. And you know who they're built by? They're built by the AWS solutions architects like Abi, like Nabil that we had before, like everybody that you've seen today, all of the solutions architects, they build these workshops. So it's learning that is applicable to a specific topic. You can go very deep. There's some very deep dives there. There's some dives that are so beyond my knowledge that I don't even understand them yet. So yeah, I think that there's a lot of options, perhaps too many options, but if you find the right ones, stick with the ones that work for you.
Yeah, and one size doesn't fit all. Like so some people may like reading, some may want to watch video, and that's why if you check the mails we sent after the session, we will try to include 3 things. One, for people who learn by watching. So there is a YouTube video link for reinvent videos, which are important one. Then we share workshop links. So somebody who learns through hands-on, they could go ahead and do hands-on. Then people sometimes like reading, so we include a blog post also. So in our follow-up email, which we send, we include 3 these things. One is YouTube video for reinvent. Second is any workshop which you should do. And third is any important blog post. So don't just skim the mail, go through that, read it, find out what your learning habit is, how you learn. Like I learn by comparing it to analogies. I don't learn without it. I have to compare it with something which I have physically seen. Then only I retain that knowledge. So find out what niche works for you, what method works for you, teach it to someone, right? Figure out, create a small group, maybe try to create a video, maybe publish it internally in your company. But yeah, share it and you will start learning based on that.
Yeah,
one of the
one other thing that I would say is learn in public. That helps a lot because then you become exactly, you become accountable, and the kind of energy you would get from the people who would be on a similar journey, it's amazing. And then you become you become a part of a small community, and you all push each other to learn more. So try and see whatever you're learning, share it on LinkedIn. And then you will see more people coming along together with you, and then you all can find your own tribe.
I agree on that. That makes sense. And then we are like coming to the tail end of our session. So I'd like to try to give you some more things about doing on your own. So yes, we did a lot of talking, we did a lot of demo and all. But yeah, what is the next step for all of you who are joining us? We would recommend that complete the knowledge check. So we will be publishing the knowledge check in 24 hours of time. So check that and then complete knowledge check. You will get a shiny badge for week 2. And whoever completes all 6 badges, you will be getting attendance certificate for that. practice the hands-on workshop. We'll share the link into the email which is coming up. And people who are not receiving email, either you are not part of the list or you are joining it from LinkedIn. So make sure you have fill up the form on our website so that we have your email address and we can communicate to you. So practice the hands-on workshop. Be active and support your peer. There is a Discord channel. If you figured out something, you found a better video, you found a better learning, you learned something new, share it so others get benefited from it. And share your learning widely, as Prasad said. So learn out loud. Let people know what you're doing. Even if it's okay if you make mistake, it's okay that people would correct you sometime, but it is still a learning. So don't hesitate from that. So that's all I wanted to share. And any last word before we give our guest a thank you and then add other people also on the chat? That's good.
Yeah,
So thanks.
be consistent for all the 6
Exactly.
weeks. A lot of
Consistency is
people,
important.
start, but then taper off. We understand. It's hard. Taking out 6 weekends is not easy, and that is completely fine if you're not able to. Any weekend you get busy. Come back and watch the videos in your own time when you have time, but try and see that how you can be consistent for all the 6 weeks and beyond. If you're especially transitioning, as Marco said, why not migrate the people? Especially, it will be a long journey. It will not be that you'll be able to, coming from a non-technical background or a non-cloud background, to become a solutions architect in 6 weeks even. I know people who have taken 6 months, a year, and a couple of years. Like me and Ashish have written a book, Cloud Career Journeys, and you'll have so many stories in there where you will see that almost an year of good effort, and then you would be like Abhi here. And we would love to see more and more people from Bresa joining us and sharing their success stories.
Yeah, career is not an instant noodle. It takes time. So prepare for it. You need a proper recipe. You need proper ingredients, and you need to know a way to cook it around, and it will take time. So it takes time. So to build a career, you are not looking for a transition like a 2-minute noodle type of thing, right? So thanks everyone for being here. I appreciate everyone's time, and thank you Alicia and Abhi for sharing the journey, and thanks Marco for inviting them. Sharik, you were non-stop answering questions, so thanks for that. And Nabil, what a great demo which we had. And Prasad, thank you for having those quiz and all the ready things. So we'll talk to you again next week. If you have any suggestions, feedback, communication, our channels are open. You decide what works best for you and reach out to us. It could be a simple thing like, hey, I like this session. Say thank you, no problem. Like, the guests would appreciate it. And we'll share these guest link into the email so that you can get connected to them on LinkedIn and get more career advice. So go ahead, enjoy your week, learn new things, and we will talk to you again into the next session. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you all.
Take care.
Thank you.